I have a lot of nicknames in my family. Nobody calls me Gina, but one of my names was Cookie. And when, because my dad was big on B Westerns, Three Musketeers and Gina, I've seen them all a million times. And when they would have a cookie, I thought, oh, their aunt and their grandma loves him too, because they call him Cookie. So until this moment, it never occurred to me that he was the cook.
This is madness.
Nope.
I know. Well, see, this is the insanity of it. Probably the first time you heard it, you did the connection of cooking and cookie. I just thought it was a nickname for an old timer, and I had no idea. And my grandfather called me Cookie.
Yeah, it's a term of endearment.
Laszlo Gorok. So I was called Cookie. So I had kind of he didn't provide many cookies, ironically, but he called me Cookie.
Yeah, I was Cookie too.
I was thinking about him the other day going to the supermarket and buying generic beer. Just
beer.
Yeah, it literally just said beer. Like, first off, old man, do you like beer or don't you like beer? Because I'm confused. Number one, his thing probably would have been, it tasted almost as good as good beer would taste. Also, my feeling is on things like that, go ahead and spend the extra 48 cents and get yourself a Lone Brow.
I have from the part of the world that makes good beer.
Or is he part of the world like Eastern Bloc territory where you just get beer? So he's used to that.
Yeah. I will tell you that Gina sent me over a menu for a Hungarian restaurant that her friend is doing. I recently had goulash and chicken paprikash. Goddamn awesome. I will also tell you that as I was looking down the menu of what you sent me over, Gina, I saw a casserole, a sauerkraut casserole with sausage cut up into it, which is one of my grandfather's creations that I never speak of. But he did sauerkraut with kielbasa, cut in silver dollar sizes all through it, and then you layer it. I think you would do a layer of like sour cream or potato or something, and then sauerkraut, and then the kielbasa. Goddamn hearty! I'm telling you, people. Everybody, I have this experience a lot. People have never tried goulash in their life. They never tried chicken paprikash. It all sounds weird. It's like, how come? What do we need that for? We have stew. What do we need goulash for? Everybody who eats it, 100% convert. They all fucking love it. No one's ever had it.
It's delicious. The problem is that, outside of making it in your own home, I suppose, what menu are you going to find it on?
Gina's
friend. You got to seek it out.
Yeah, that's why you got to find a pop-up. And she literally, it's called Eden's Hungarian. She spent all this time in Hungary. She loves this culture. She loves this food. So it's going to be authentic.
Yeah, well, I'll give it a plug. So I haven't tried it yet, but I want to try the kraut. And don't sleep on the sauerkraut, everyone. Not nearly enough of that in your diet. All right. Dawson has an article that somebody tweeted me a couple of days ago, which I'd like to get into, and then I have some thoughts. Go ahead, Dawson.
New study finds COVID transmission in schools is, quote, extremely rare. A new peer-reviewed study from American Academy of Pediatrics found that in-school transmission of COVID-19 is extremely rare. Collaborative study between Duke University and the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill discovered that among 11 school districts with nearly 100,000 staff and students, there were no instances of children passing the coronavirus to adults during in-person instruction. Researchers found just 32 cases of either kid-to-kid or adult-to-adult coronavirus transmission over 9 weeks. The study also slammed school policies that ask individuals to self-quarantine if they come within 6 feet of a person infected with coronavirus for more than 15 minutes, even if both individuals wore masks. The study calls the policy, quote, counterproductive, as transmission of the coronavirus when properly wearing masks is, quote, uncommon in school settings. Researchers also said the policy sends a mixed message to the public on the benefit of face coverings. The study concluded that, quote, schools can stay open safely in communities with widespread community transmission. This conclusion contradicts claims by teachers' unions that vaccines won't be enough to return to in-person learning.
Well, nothing's enough as long as you're fucking getting paid, right? As long as you're getting paid to work with your fucking slippers and house coat on, then nothing will be enough. Yes.
The costs of remote learning, meanwhile, have been high. A study of 4.4 million students found that minority and low-income children are disproportionately harmed by school closures.
That's true.
Other studies have likely indicated that schools are not driving COVID-19 infections. Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, said during an ABC interview that the default position should be, quote, to keep the children in school or to get them back to school.
So here's the question. Our schools have been closed down for 1 million years. Why? But the bigger question I have throughout this whole thing is, why the fuck are we putting up with this? I mean, these are parents sitting at home watching their kids rot. We all know it's the low-income, at-risk kids, the kids that are already having the hardest time with this, that are suffering disproportionately. Why is there more outcry about it? How come no one fucking says anything?
Do we care or don't we?
Why aren't we pushing back? This is nuts. It's
anecdotally, everyone we know of or speak to is miserable. You know what I mean? With the kids not going to school and at home or falling behind or whatever. It's no one we know is happy about this.
And
anecdotally, but there's a lot of people we talk to.
There is no science to back this up, and then there's data that says it's dangerous to the kids to stay home for other effects outside of COVID, which we don't seem to weigh in. So what the fuck? And what are we doing? And how come more people aren't pushing back? That's my bigger question. I get Gavin Newsom's a fuck up. I get Garcetti's a fuck up. I get Barbara Ferrer's a fuck up. My question is where are the people? Where are the voices? And the answer is they're fucking scared, because everyone's scared if they pipe up or push back or say anything, they're going to get taken out to the town square and flogged. But that's the saddest realization of this whole thing. And I'm also going to dovetail this into one of my earlier thoughts, which is when this thing began, and I was talking to Dr. Drew about how big a shit show L.A. is with distributing the vaccine, and how it needs to go to people over 65. Those are the people that are dying. Under 65, people aren't dying. Over 65, those are the people that are really getting hit hard and dying from this thing. So if you would like to take the vaccine and, you have a large population, you have a limited number of vaccine, well, then you just give it to the population that's going to die first, and then we'll give it to everyone else next. But remember, and this will tie in and dovetail with the school thing as well, there was always a concerted war, I felt, from the get-go, over ages. We're not giving out the ages that are of the people that are being affected. We did not get that information. It was very slow to come out, and when it did, it was never touched upon. No one ever really drilled down on it, and thus kids can't go back to school, and we have to give the vaccine out to this group and first responders, and there's a whole racial component to the vaccine too, because we did get the message early and often that this was disproportionately affecting communities of color. So if you're going to get hit over the fucking head about disproportionately affecting communities of color and not hear anything about age, then when the vaccine comes out, who are you going to give it to? The age is also, if we'd gotten the fucking message early and often with the age, then when it came to decide if schools could stay open, we'd go, well, it doesn't hurt kids. Of course schools could stay open, but we never got the age. And thus we just got, here's how many Americans died. And thus it affected policy. And I do think there was a concerted effort, not a conspiracy plan, just things sound that much more dangerous when you say, here's how many people died versus here's how many 91-year-olds died. Yes, Brian.
You and I are on the same page, because as you were saying all that, I was thinking to myself, literally just about to bring it up, I wonder if there will come out someday that there was a concerted effort amongst the people whose job it was to get the information out, don't emphasize it affects this group more than that group. Much like with the AIDS crisis, when there was the effort was made to explain that it was an equal opportunity virus and a killer and blah blah. When in fact it was much harder to catch for certain groups than it was for others, and that eventually came out. But the talking points were, let's get everyone on the same page and make sure everyone feels the same risk.
I agree with that, except for they didn't do this group or that group. They did do this group or that group, I should say. They did.
Wasn't it called GAIDS?
No. It was grids.
Grids.
It was
something like that.
No, you're right. I'm agreeing with you. What I'm saying is in the current COVID crisis, yes. Right. What they did is they said heterosexual couple is just as endangered as a young single gay man who frequents bars. That was their attempt. It was basically, it's what doctors do when they go, do you smoke? And you go, I smoke 1 cigarette a night. And they go, that's one too many. Right. That's just as bad as smoking a pack or two. They do that because what they're saying is I don't want you to engage in this behavior.
Telling pregnant women not to have a glass of wine, when in fact it is totally fine.
Right, because they think you're going to drink a bottle of wine versus a glass of wine, so they tell you no amount is safe, which, of course, whenever you hear no amount is safe, it never really makes sense, because we all know you could have a glass of wine and operate a motor vehicle, or you could die of alcohol poisoning if you drank a gallon of Everclear. So I think the amount does.
There's the amount that matters.
And
does
by
factor
the way,
in.
The baby boomers who are doctors telling you this, ask their moms what they imbibed in while they were pregnant with the 2 martini lunches and the cigarettes.
Oh, a lot of highballs. All right. So I believe when I was screaming about earlier on, very early in this pandemic, about where are the ages? How come we're not getting ages? And people would say, well, HEPA laws. And I go, say an 89-year-old in Arleta died. What's the HEPA law there? And I was getting a lot of fucking cross jabber on it. I now agree with me. Oh, HIPAA law. Sorry, HEPA filter and HIPAA laws. Yeah, we got to get the HEPA filter in the airplane, but the HIPAA law on the ground. I think it's done us a wild disservice. I think if people had the ages and had the context and just how much more deadly it was past the age of 65, and then how much more steadily dangerous it got as you passed 75, and how lethal it was when we got to 85. If we had that information, then we could have shaped policies like outdoor dining, which is insane that it's still not open, and or especially schools, because schools are a bunch of kids by nature, and the average age of the school teacher in the 9th grade is 38 and 7 months. Everybody out of the fucking danger zone.
Would have changed daycare and preschool. Would have changed our lives. Our Tesla was closed for whatever it was, 5-6 months, just to be out of caution.
All right, so
he still did physical education next to the bar this morning.
School and outdoor dining still shut down in Los Angeles, but I'm heading to Florida, baby. And I got
never coming back.
I got to tell you, that is one of the perks of travel. As big a pain in the ass as it used to be, going out to dinner, man. Already got reservations for late dinner on Saturday night. Looking forward to hanging out. Even just going to the airport and being able to sit at a bar in an airport feels like you're getting away with something out here, especially. We have to meet. We got a 6 a.m. flight.
6 a.m. departure, yes.
6 a.m. departure.
Yeah.
Departure.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
I think it's a 5:30 boarding. So.
5:30 boarding. Ew. Everyone's going to be in a great mood.
Yeah.
Mike, the good news about Mike August is there's no difference between 5:30 in the evening and 5:30 in the morning. You will see the exact same Mike. Never seen the man yawn. Never
true.
Never seen him go for a cup of coffee.
No.
He's always in a really natty outfit holding a duffel bag ready to go.
Yes, he'll be there. He'll be waiting.
He'll have plaid shorts.
He'll have plaid shorts on. He'll be ready to roll. Also, so that means we got to get to the airport about 5 a.m. and we got a layover. So we got about a 7.5 hour
you can't fly
journey to Naples. So we got that.
Are you going out of Burbank or LAX?
LAX because it's less convenient. Because I was like,
the only advantage of driving to LAX for you is to get that direct flight.
That's right. That's why I asked.
Naples is a tough putt, but I got myself a first class